Still no evidence of any significant voter fraud in the presidential election, but President Trump still won't concede. Our White House team reporting that people close to the president are concerned that he's spiraling into a rage, hurting his own legacy as well as the Republican Party. NBC News correspondent Carol Lee is one of the reporters on that story. Carol, what else are you hearing from your sources close to the president?
Well, Allison, generally what we're hearing is just concern about how long the president is going to drag out what many of the people around him see as the inevitable, that he's lost this election. One advisor said to us, somebody needs to have a candid conversation with the president and that it does not behoove him to stretch this out very much longer. There's hope. And I emphasize hope that the president will wrap this up by this weekend. But the signs that are coming out of the president's Twitter feed and from his campaign suggest that that's not going to be the case. I mean, just a little while ago, his campaign was holding a conference call with reporters about his legal actions in Michigan, which is one of the earlier states that was called for President-elect Biden. So there's a lot of consternation about whether the president is and who can talk the president down from his position of being very dug in. And there are those around the president who think that he should just barrel ahead and continue to fight and not back down. We've heard from a number of the president's aides who say that and have conveyed that message really here in Washington and across these battleground states. But there seems to be a groundswell, at least, starting to form of concern within the White House among some of the president's outside advisors that he's potentially taking this too far and hurting his legacy and dragging the Republican Party down with him, Allison.
Carol, so far none of the Trump campaign lawsuits has gained any real traction, but here's what Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said today.
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. All right, we're ready. The world is watching what's taking place here. We're going to count all the votes. When the process is complete, there'll be electors selected. There's a process. The Constitution lays it out pretty clearly.
Carol, I've yet to speak to a legal expert who thinks that the outcome of this election will change because of these lawsuits. So what's going on here? What is the strategy? And is the White House divided on what they should be doing here?
Yeah, what you've heard from the Secretary of State really is just kind of him, and we should note that he is one of the president's staunchest supporters, and he's getting on board or on message with what the president has been trying to do here. He is somebody who, having run for office himself, knows how the math works. He also has ambitions for the 2024 presidential race. So that's all kind of hanging over what the Secretary of State said. But look, it's also always worth noting, I think, Allison, that at this point in the election, after the election in 2016, the math was the math. The media doesn't call this election. It's all about the math. And the president was fine with accepting those results then. And Secretary of State also in his own elections knows that a winner is declared before the vote is fully certified. So what's going on here, according to one advisor that we spoke with, is there's this effort, the lawsuits, the public messaging to, quote, brand the president as anything other than a loser, that something that would allow him to save face and to basically back down an off-ramp, so to speak, for him to take that would back away from his refusal to concede this election.
Carol, President Trump is still tweeting, but it's been, 5 days since we've seen him publicly. Yeah. Do we have any idea how much longer this will go on and when he plans to get back to his normal schedule?
No. I would note that tomorrow is Veterans Day. Yeah. So typically we would see the president on Veterans Day. So perhaps we'll get some visual of him, whether or not he speaks publicly. We don't know. But you're right. This is very unusual for this president. I mean, he's obviously very active on Twitter, but to go this long with no events on his public schedule, not even anything private, a lunch with a secretary and his cabinet or an intelligence briefing is unusual. And we've been waiting to see when he will indeed speak publicly again. We just don't know.
Carol, let's talk about the coronavirus. The U.S. reported more than 133,000 cases yesterday. Vice President Pence leads the White House coronavirus task force, but he's heading to Florida on vacation. What do you know about that trip? And does he have any plans to meet with the task force, given the increasing seriousness of this pandemic?
Yeah, it's a great question. What we were told is that the vice president was going to head down to Florida for a couple days of vacation. He was supposed to leave today, but then we got notice that the vice president is scheduled to give a speech on Friday, basically in Virginia, outlining this president's first term and all of its accomplishments and how, in their view, they have championed conservative causes. So one thing I will say that an advisor told us in terms of the president's legal strategy is when asked how effective they think this would be, they said all you need to know is the vice president is going on vacation, Allison.
All right. The vice president is going on vacation. Carol, there it is. Thank you so much.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.